Is 7/12 equal to 28/36 a true statement? We can check if the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. Is 7 times 36 equal to 12 times 28? We can do these multiplication problems off to the side. 36 times 7, begin with 6 times 7, which is 42, carry the 4. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 4 more is 25. 7 times 36 is 252. Now, to multiply 28 times 12, eight times 2 is 16, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Add a 0 as a placeholder. Then 1 times 8 is 8, and 1 times 2 is 2. Add the columns to obtain 336. The answer to our question is no. The product of the means is not equal to the product of the extremes, so these two fractions are not equal. Is 1.5 over 3 equal to 8.5 over 17 a true statement? We can check whether the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. Is 1.5 times 17 equal to 8.5 times 3? If so, then these two fractions are equal. We'll come below to do each multiplication problem. Beginning with 1.5 times 17, 7 times 5 is 35, carry the 3. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 3 is 10. Add a 0 as a placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. Add the columns and put in the decimal point to obtain a product of 25.5. As for the other multiplication problem, 8.5 times 3, 5 times 3 is 15, 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Since we obtained the same product, 25.5 for each, we see that the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. So yes, these two fractions are equal, and this is a true statement. Here we're asked to solve for n, and we're given the proportion 3/5 equals 9 over n. We use the fact that in proportions, the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. Therefore, 3 times n is equal to 9 times 5. Or we can write 3n is equal to 9 times 5 is 45. To solve for n, we divide both sides of this equation by 3 and we find that n is equal to 45 divided by 3, which is 15. N is equal to 15. Solve for x. We're given the proportion x over 6.5 equals 3.5 over 0.25. We used the fact that in proportions, the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. So for this proportion, 0.25 times x is equal to 6.5 times 3.5. I'll come to the side to do the multiplication problem. 6.5 times 3.5. Begin with 5 times 5, which is 25. Carry the 2. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 2 more is 32. Add a 0 as a placeholder. Then 5 times 3 is 15. Carry the 1. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Add the columns. And then because each number had one digit to the right of the decimal point, my answer will have 2 digits to the right of the decimal point. We obtain a product of 22.75. We can then say that 0.25x is equal to 22.75. Our next step is to divide by 0.25. I'll come below to do that division. 22.75 divided by 0.25. For starters, bring your decimal point in both the divisor and the dividend to the right 2 places and bring it above. 25 goes into 227 9 times, which is 225. Subtracting gives us 2 left over, and bring down the 5, then 25 goes into 25 once. So we get a quotient of 91. We can therefore say that x is equal to 91. Solve for x. 7 over x equals negative 2 over 9. We use the fact that in a proportion, the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. So 9 times 7 is equal to negative 2 times x. 9 times 7 is 63 is equal to negative 2x. To find x, we need to divide both sides of this equation by negative 2. And to find the answer, we need to figure out 63 divided by negative 2. Remember, if the signs are different, our answer will be negative. And 63 divided by 2 is 31.5. So x is equal to negative 31.5. Solve for n. 1/3 over 3/4 is equal to n over 15/4. We use the fact that in a proportion, the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. Therefore, 1/3 times 15/4 is equal to 3/4 times n. I will multiply the fractions on the left, gives 15/12, and to reduce this fraction, I will divide both the top and the bottom of this fraction by 3 to obtain 5/4. 5/4 is equal to 3/4 times n, or 3/4 n. Now, to solve for n, we need to divide by the value in front of n, which is 3/4. And we'll have n is equal to 5/4 divided by 3/4. I'm going to write that division horizontally instead of vertically. And then remember, to divide fractions, we can multiply by the reciprocal. Multiplying along the top gives 20. Multiplying along the bottom gives 12. And then to reduce this fraction, we can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 4. The final answer is n is equal to 5/3.